Hello guys, welcome back. I want to talk about something. I want to talk about the baby gate in the room that nobody is talking about. We all know Donald Flump wants this wall. No, it's a glorified baby gate now because it's a fence and it looks exactly like a baby gate is what it looks like when you see like models of it. It looks like a baby gate. So, for years in this country, this baby gate is all we've heard of about. And I finally reached a point where all the energy flowing around and all the high tensions were too much for me, and I withdrew into myself. And I gave up on trying to maintain connections with my gods because it felt so hard, so I gave up on my African Loa, and I'm not proud about that, and I gave up on La Santa, and I gave up on a lot of other gods and goddesses. Because it felt too painful to keep reaching out when the whole world is running at each other with their claws out, trying to claw each other's eyes out. And when I calmed down and I went up to bed, I go up and I lay down sometimes to try to meditate or something. And I'm talking to them. I'm thinking about this thing I saw in the Odin book. I kept going in the Odin book and I saw something about this card from Odin. And I thought that can't be the card I'm thinking of. And I went and I typed Happy Yule, Love Odin, type it into Bing or whatever, and hit images, and it'll probably be the first image that comes up. It'll be a cat staring into a fire, and it'll say Happy Yule, Love Odin. There'll be a heart, and it'll have the name Odin after it. And I think it's actually from the cat, but that was Odin's commentary on all this. Because he said to me, he said, kind of sad, he said, you used to love hearing me pass. You used to love hearing the wind and the rain and everything and what happened to you. And I'm like, life happened to me. That's what happened to me. So it was a very joyous celebration to get all the gods and goddesses back together. And I am actually happy. I'm up and I'm cooking rice and half my mind's here and half my mind's on the rice. But it was actually joyous because all my gods hadn't given up on me. The gods and goddesses hadn't given up on me. They knew I was scared. They knew I was frustrated. They knew there's so much craziness floating around that I've given up. Or I had given up. I had given up, past tense. Keep trying. I'd given up because it was just too much for me. Being a witch and, you're sensitive to the general energy in the world. And you're especially sensitive that anytime somebody says wall anymore, people start to freak out, twitch, and they get all twitchy and start to foam at the mouth and fall on the ground. And at this point, I don't care if people want it or they don't want it. I don't agree with holding other Americans hostage to get what you want, is what I don't agree with. I don't care if they think it's a great idea or they think it's a stupid idea. Frankly, I think it's a stupid idea because it looks like a glorified baby gate. And it's so easy to climb a fence. It's like one of the first things you learn as a child. I'm like, yeah, that's why I don't want you wasting damn taxpayer money on it, because this shit ain't gonna work. If I thought it would work, I'd be like, great, build it. But I don't. But this isn't about a gate. Baby gate. How come we calling it the baby gate from now on? Yeah, this isn't about the baby gate. This is about, we have to not do that ourselves. We have to not get xenophobic, but it felt like if everybody around us is getting real snappy and real touchy and everything, we can't let that make us withdraw from those we love. I was just crying my eyes out. August's like, oh, come here, pat. I was even crying on Legba's shoulder, and he's like, see, the damn scariest old man in the world, and you're worried about getting along with Odin. Because Papa Legba had been throwing his canes at me. And I wasn't sure why, because I would go towards a door, and one of his canes would fall down. I thought, what the actual hell? And I thought it was something I was doing, and he was just He loves you. He loves you forever. It was just like, pay attention, stupid. And Baron threw a cane at me, and I'm like, damn it. And tonight I was in bed, and they threw a fox at me. And I'm not sure which one that is. It was some god or goddess or lower or somebody threw a fox at me. They throw foxes at me, so I know I'm loved, because they know fox is my favorite. I love all the little animals, but they know fox is the favorite, so I'm picking up this fox, and I'm talking baby talk to her. It was the fox puppet. And I'm just talking baby talk to her, talking to her like it's... And I loved it. And I'm sure the fox, if you believe in animism, I'm sure the fox loved it too. And Dionysus was happy, and Loki was happy, and all the Norse gods were happy, and they're like, finally. And Loki says, you're not meant to stay in one place. He says, some humans love to be in one place. You know, like those people that you go into their house and there's just like one theme and one theme only. They're probably really good at being in one place. They're probably Christian or whatever they are, but they're like straight, pure, whatever they are. And they're happy. They're genuinely happy. They're not there out of fear. They're not there because they're not curious. They're genuinely happy to be there. They might study other cultures, but they're genuinely happy to stay put. Me, I gotta be wandering into everything. And the bigger and scarier God is, I really have to wander up to that one, because that one needs a hug. Like you said, you're gonna die, but at least you're gonna die hugging somebody. No, all the gods need hugs. You're such a fluff bunny, Wiccan. Oh, go ahead, fine. Go hug them. You'd hug anyone, wouldn't you? Yeah, I would. You want a hug? Fine. Because sometimes he remembers he's Grouch. And he was trying to be extra sweet. And Odin was being extra sweet. And Odin reminded me about that card. He's like, look it up. Look it up. Odin will adapt. That's one thing in my experience I've found he will adapt. If you're a fluff bunny Wiccan, and there's no changing you, and you know there's no changing you because you're happy when you're fluffy, he'll adapt. But if you're trying to be militaristic, and you're trying to be angry, and you're trying to be heathen, or whatever you think heathens have to be, it's not gonna work, and that's why I was having such temper explosions. I mean, I have a bad temper to begin with, but it's worse when you try to be something you're not meant to be. And Odin will just kind of like Loki. He'll take a back seat and let you run into walls and be rather amused. It's not that he wouldn't do it the gentle way. It was he actually told me not to do this, but I didn't listen. I had to do it my way. And he's like, okay, keep running in the walls. This is fun. And I'm sure the gods all had a little bidding pool going on the side. And I'm sure they have GodTube, as we've mentioned before. And I'm sure there are videos of me acting the fool and trying to do this stuff, and the guys all been like, that was special, glad she's yours, I don't want her now. so that happened, and Luke came by, and all these gods came by, and Sippa came by, and I was like, I love you so much, but please don't send your animals to me or I'll have a heart attack and die. I know. And they're like, but he loves you. He was worried about you. He's the centipede god from Egypt. And I'm always like, I love you too. Just don't touch me. And he's pretty gracious. He's taken a human form now with me. He's like, I know. But I love you. Hug. Okay, I'll give you a hug. Oh my god. But he's really sweet. And I think Sobek may have gotten a hug. I'm not sure. I was so stupidly happy to see all the gods. And Odin's like, okay, so now what do you want to do? And you've got all your gods and goddesses, and you got the ones you're happy with. What do you want to do? And I was like, I just like to randomly walk up to my gods and spend a little time with them. It's not this deep, profound spiritual thing, and then I'm on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one. But I have only so many I work with. I don't work with every god in existence, because not every god in existence wants to work with me. Some of them see me come and they're like, nah, I'm good. And I can never seem to find them. But every other god will work with me. I mean, some of them have really humored me. I know very well that I never met a unicorn. I think Slipnir was very sweet when I was a little girl and just took a horn, slapped a horn on his head and came over and like, yeah, look at me, I'm a unicorn, I'm magical. So they're really good with us and they're really loving. And Odin's like, we're not the ones that are xenophobic. People get xenophobic and they like to latch on to stories about us and think that means that we would all be very clannish and keep to ourselves. And he says, I know it's easy to walk down that path, and he'll let you walk down that path. That's the problem. Gods will let you have free will. If you want to walk down the path and point out that they had a wall built, they had a wall built because the culture that was experiencing these gods was rather fond of walls because they like to go raid other people. So, the first ones to build a wall are the people that will go attack other people. Keep that in mind. And that was why. It wasn't like the Norse gods in our stories. Keep in mind, they're just stories. We're sitting there like a group of tiny little kittens, and they were helpless and defenseless. They were going off and they were starting stuff with people. Odin, if you remember the lore, is one of the first gods to start anything ever. And we go, well, he did that to protect humans. He still started it. So, it's not like he was sitting there like an innocent basket of kittens. But we're getting off topic. Our lore is just our lore. If you're really caught up in it, they will let you walk down the lore path. And that can be good and that can be bad. If you get really caught up in, for example, if you're working with Loki, if you get caught up in the Loki the victim path, he will let you walk down that until you're manic, depressive, and crazy. Because he knows you have to get it out of your system. It seems to be a rite of passage with Lokeans. And then one day you wake up and you realize, he's a god, and he's a fairly strong god at that. And if you believe that he's, one of the three brothers, creation brothers, then, are the brothers ever going to get to that better point that they're like one's putting the other underground and everything else? No, I've seen it both ways. I've believed in that, and then I've been like, this is Loki we're talking about. I don't think you'd catch him for one. And I think our lore's a useful place to start, but it's a terrible place to stay because then you decide you hate these gods because they did this, and you hate that god because they did that. And Loki is the first one that will always yell at me for it. He's the first one that I don't care who you think you like and you don't like. If I tell you to work with somebody, you work with somebody. So, that's my experience. Some people might have, go by lore and lore only, and that's their experience, but I found the gods will let us choose to do what we want to do. Like when I got really scared and afraid and defeated and depressed and gave up all the gods that I love and care about and kind of insulated myself, they let me do that. It's not that they stopped loving me or they stopped wanting to spend time with me. In fact, they kept reminding me they were there. It was they knew I had to do that. They knew that I just didn't have the strength, even though I regret it now, to keep walking and keep going. They knew I needed to insulate myself for a while, which was a mistake for me. For some people it wouldn't be, but for me it was a mistake. So we're doing much better. I'm keeping one eye on the rice. I know that's so fascinating. I'm keeping one eye on the rice and one eye on you guys. So I'll let you guys go, but we're doing much better. And it just wasn't working with me to insulate myself. It's not that we won't have tons of Norse content. Of course we will, but we'll also have other content because I'm grateful to the other gods. There have been things that have happened that I haven't told you about because I'm like, oh, you want to hear that, but I owe all the gods I've ever worked with and all the lowest so much, because just because I haven't worked with them for a while doesn't mean they don't drop by when I need a healing or I need to be peeled off the ceiling because I'm freaking out over something. So, there's a saying about not having any orphan gods, and something to think about. I know tempers are running high right now, and people are acting like, picking sides, and it makes you think you have to isolate yourself maybe from your gods or goddesses because they're not Norse or whatever, or they're not in your blood. And that's not a requirement. If the gods are calling you and you feel you can work with them, work with them. If you can learn anything from my experience, every time I started working with a group of gods, once I got on the internet, before then it was pure heaven because I could work with whoever I wanted and nobody was around to tell me I was doing it wrong. Once I got on the internet, there are always going to be very clannish people with every group of gods. They're going to say these are all gods and you can't touch them. I don't care if they're Egyptian or if they're First Nations or they're, from part of Africa, like Yoruba or whatever. If wherever they come from, there will be people who will say, no, these are my gods, you can't have them. Or maybe they're not even their gods and they're running up to you being social justice warrior and saying, how dare you touch those gods? Well, you didn't just go in and grab them. Gods don't work like that. Gods aren't, physical goods that you can go and steal and then work with them. If gods didn't want to work with you and you ran into a culture and you stole them, that would be the last thing you would do on this earth. So I hope that helps you guys, but the gods were really gracious and they waited. And Odin's actually happy. And I think Odin's relieved because no one group of gods has to worry about having all the pressure to take care of me. And I don't have to worry about it because we're a family. We all take care of each other in this family. And it may be a group of gods that doesn't exist anywhere else, but that doesn't matter. It's just the gods that have adopted me and decided they were my family, and those are the gods you should honor, not the gods that people try to force on you, because you may have nothing in common. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.